What is going on, guys? So we have a video here. We got the GT500 strapped down on the dyno. So we are going to be installing VMP fuel pump boosters on the GT500. So in the previous videos on the dyno, we actually saw the fuel pump maxing out pretty low in the RPM range, somewhere around 5,800. We're going to run a baseline today since it is hot. It's a different day. So we'll run a baseline and see what it does with the data log, and then we're going to be installing the VMP fuel pump boosters. We should see a healthier fuel pump duty cycle and most likely a cleaned up power curve. So we're going to go take a look. We have Matt Casati on the dyno today at VMP, and we're going to take a look at the data after this first poll. Just so everyone knows, the car has the stock elbow on it, 67mm throttle body, 2.4 pulley, JLT 123mm cold air intake, and some brisk plugs in it. We did remove the big elbow and the big Kenny belt throttle body because we do plan to upgrade the blower. Those were just for testing. That's when it made 690. So we're going to see what we can get out of it, and with the fuel pump booster, making everything much more safe. Alright, so this is Matt Casati.
Yeah.
He is on the keyboard duties today. So we just made the first poll, and you got the data in front of you.
Yes, we do. Basically, as we expected, it is running out of fuel pump, which means that we're seeing 100% duty cycle on the fuel pump at about 5,800 RPM. So from 5,800 all the way to 65, the fuel pumps are just maxed out, pumping all they can. And at that point in time, the pressure is starting to drop. Not dangerously, but it is starting to drop. So that's where we're at with that. We're gonna see if we can fix that.
Exactly. And we also logged IAT2 since
Yes, we
just did the heat exchanger.
Yes.
And we actually started much lower, right?
Yes, on that run, we were 111 degrees when we started, and we finished at 120.
That's fantastic.
And that's after you driving here, and it sat outside. You weren't here very long before we put it. You were what, here 15 minutes or so?
Yeah.
And then we put it right on the dyno, and it was sitting outside in the sun, so
yeah.
It had some time to cool down. And then you just had the fans and the pump running while we strapped it down. Exactly. So it shows, that right there shows how quickly it pulled the heat out of the system.
Yep, because I think before, I don't know if we have the logs from before, but I think we were starting around 120, 130 IAT2.
I have to look. I don't have them open, but yes, I believe they were at least 120 starting out and went much higher in the poll.
Awesome. So let's get the fuel pump boosters installed and then see what it does.
Yep.
So right here we have the two VMP fuel pump boosters and the plug and play harness. This is sold all together as a kit for the 1314 GT500. It's also available for 07 to 12, but this one requires two because there's dual FBDMs. So Matt here is going to go ahead and install it. It's very, very complicated, right?
No.
No, not at all. So plug and play. This is going to be installed in about 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, give or take.
With the filming.
Yes. Oh no, not without the filming. It's going to take 4 hours with the filming.
So right here, we got the two connections already unplugged. That's where our plug and play harnesses go.
Yes.
The only thing we have to do, Red, is find a ground source.
Correct. Which usually the best bet is using these mounting brackets, studs for grounds.
Nice. Alright, the fuel pump boosters are mounted and plugged in, and they have a ground source. Now, just the fuse needs to be installed up front for the 40 amp, then we'll be good to go. Alright, so the fuel pump boosters are in the car. So I know a lot of you guys might have questions about fuel pump boosters and how they work. VMP is going to have a very detailed video up on their channel. Essentially, this is going to keep the car safe and plenty of fuel, especially when it gets hot on the street, because the tune will richen up the fuel mixture, and we want to make sure we never max out the fuel pump duty cycle, which we are right now. Right around 5,900, we're seeing a max out. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it on the dyno. I don't don't know if it's actually going to pick up some horsepower, but the curve should look smoother, and maybe we will, because we are maxing it out around 5,900. The key thing to note, which I know a lot of people pointed this out before, is that we really shouldn't be running it if the fuel pump is maxing out, but fuel mixture was still in an acceptable range. That's why I was still driving the car, but it is on a softer tune. It makes about 650 wheel with this fuel pump issue, so we want to make sure we never had any problems. So I do plan to do a fuel system somewhere down the line, but this is a great upgrade for anybody wanting to stay on pump gas or gasoline based fuel, you know, race gas. This setup won't really be ideal for E85. It does work in some cases, but we're going to be going to a fuel system somewhere down the line. But for someone who is planning on going bigger supercharger, 700 to 800 wheel on a gasoline based fuel, this will work for you. We are still running the factory 56-pound injectors. 13, 14 come with factory injectors, so these are actually good for somewhere over 700. We do have fuel injector clinic 1000cc injectors that are going to go in this, probably along with the fuel system and the blower and everything else that we plan to do. Eventually, I'll probably have to step it up to FIC 1200s, which will have plenty of fuel for the 8,900 wheel horsepower goal that we're shooting for. After running the car on the dyno, we have a much smoother curve, and the fuel pump duty cycle is much happier. Another thing to note is that the car actually was significantly cooler, especially being that it's 90 degrees out. The IAT2 temps were starting anywhere around 110, 112 and ending at 123, while before we were seeing about 130 degrees and rising from there. So definitely working really well with a heat exchanger.
Okay, so we just finished installing our fuel pump voltage boosters, and we just did another pull on the car, and they're doing a great job. Our fuel pump duty cycle went from 100% duty cycle at 5,800 down to 80% duty cycle all the way at 65. So we've basically added a solid 20 to 25% of capacity to the fuel system using the VMP booster.
All right, the GT500 is off the dyno, and the car picked up a little bit of power. We weren't really going for horsepower, we were more about going for a safety net on the fuel, make sure everything's healthy and good looking. And this is going to be the last time the car's on the dyno before the long tubes, and then we have a bigger blower coming and all sorts of good stuff, so this was in preparation for that. I do have a fuel system coming, but we do want to see what we can do with fuel pump boosters and the bigger blower before going to a full fuel system. So we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. If you guys want to pick up a fuel pump booster, they work on all sorts of applications. I ran one in my 03 Cobra for a long time too, so there's a link down in the description to go pick one up. Huge shout out to VMP for the tuning on the car. We're going to go ahead in the car, go to the meet tonight, and we'll check in a little bit later. All right, so Lewis just caught this with his dash cam. There's this Mustang pulled over by a undercover Explorer, and if we play the clip, we will find that we found Mr. Corey, who's going to show up here very shortly. This was just taken
with a ticket or something, I don't know. He was flying.
Hopefully just a ticket.
Hopefully they don't take his car.
Yeah. Come on, Corey, you can't do that. It's only in Mexico.
Nope. Nope. Only in Mexico you do that stuff.
Here's the troublemaker right there.
Taking too many people to Gapplebee's.
Oh yeah.
Gapplebee's.
So did he try to take you to Gapplebee's?
No, he wasn't even trying.
Oh, it's a little anger in there. A little anger. All right, how many tickets?
I didn't get any tickets.
No tickets?
I guess my license is suspended though.
What,
I didn't even know.
How are you still driving?
I went to court for those 3 tickets I got a long time ago. I paid 2 of them. I went to court for one of them, and the judge said I had till not this month, but the next month to pay it all. So I'm thinking,
he didn't impound your car?
No, he just let me go. He was like, if I catch you doing it, speeding or something again, I'm taking you to jail. I was like, okay.
Dang.
You're flying.
Yeah, I know.